Is going on, people? It's your boy Logan.
What's going on, ladies and gents? It's Jake.
Howdy, howdy. It is Sling.
Y'all like my energy? Y'all like my yo this week?
Yeah.
Hey, my chest is out. My head is held up high. It was a damn good week.
Yeah.
It was a damn good week
Yeah.
for the Arsenal. You know, look, in recent times we haven't had weeks like that. Although we did have a decent week a few weeks ago when we beat Benfica and then followed up with Leicester. But getting a little bit of revenge against Olympiacos during the week, obviously the tie's not done, but then following it up with just a dominant performance over Spurs. Maybe the scoreline doesn't tell you, but we just completely dominated them. It was a great week as an Arsenal fan, and I've got a little bit different energy for this podcast. I'm feeling pretty good. How y'all feeling?
Scubble. Scubble.
I don't think anybody besides us knows what that means.
It means we're lit. Beat the fuck out of fucking Spurs this weekend. Big win against Olympiacos in the midweek. I mean, we You
do anything else this weekend, Sling, besides watch Arsenal give it to Spurs?
What's your birthday party? That was fun. What?
I was gonna say so at the Henderson. So the Henderson is where I did beach share rentals over the summer. So I'm gonna be working again, and a bunch of my coworkers are like still high school kids, like 16, 17 years old. Anyways, they've been telling me to come and like support them at their lacrosse games, and so I was like, fuck it, I'll show up for a few. The past few I went to, they've just beat the shit out of everybody that they played. And I went to one against, I think it's pronounced Buchholz.
Yeah, from
Buchholz.
They beat the shit out of us.
Yeah, I think I saw that score.
But
we beat them in football in the third round of playoffs, so that's all that really matters.
Yeah. Well, I went to that game. I don't know why I almost got in a fucking fight with a Buchholz fan.
Why?
You're a fucking moron.
No, I didn't even fucking start it, dude. He was instigating like fuck.
Lacrosse parents are really that crazy?
Yes, dude. I was like, I don't even know shit about lacrosse, bro, and you're coming at me right now? So this is what happened, right? Fucking a Niceville kid laid the fuck out of one of the Buchholz players, and it was a high hit. Like,
were you getting hype or some shit?
Or, well, I mean, I was like, ooh, like, I was like, okay.
You're dumb as fuck.
And so after that fucking hit, the parent goes, bullshit, like just loud as fuck. Like the refs heard it, everybody fucking heard it. And so there was a flag for the hit, and then there was also a flag for like, I guess, him cussing. And
that's weird.
It was super weird. And the coach from Niceville like yelled at us because he thought that it was the Niceville fans that said it. And we were like, no, it was like him. And then after like it was all said and done, he turns around and like yells up to all of us Niceville fans, and he's like, I have the hit on film if you want to watch it. I was like,
we saw it live.
I was like, hey man,
that shit was hype.
No, it's legit. That's what I said. I was like, yeah, man, that was a sick hit, dude. That was a football hit right there. He was like, I don't know, it was a little high, man. I was like, it looked like a good hit to me. He should try out for the team. And I was like getting under his skin. And apparently, a faculty and staff lady had to come down. I don't know what her name was, but she had to like talk to him. And I could like see him pointing back at me, so I knew he was fucking talking about me. I was like, "Ma'am, I can come down there and like tell you exactly what happened if you want me to." And he turns around and he goes, "Oh yeah, big tough guy." And I started fucking laughing so hard. Oh my god, dude! I was like, "Dude, I will cave your fucking face in."
Jake is getting into beef with high school
lacrosse games.
That's something I didn't expect to hear on this pod.
No, dude.
Might have already learned something new on this pod.
Yeah. No, that was my weekend.
Jake is a psycho lacrosse parent on the weekend, so it's what I learned this week.
Yeah. But no, that was my weekend, so that was lit.
All right, well, yeah, my weekend was, look, I don't even remember what I did on the weekend, to be honest with you, because all I care about is the Arsenal result of the weekend.
Popping bottles.
I was getting turned. Yeah, popping champagne, doing whatever the hell I want. When you're a winner, you can do big shit like that.
You shooting up heroin?
Absolutely fucking not. Don't do drugs.
You said you were doing whatever you want.
Why not?
Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah, don't do drugs.
Adults.
Yeah, never.
It was a joke. It was
never
prank.
do drugs.
All right, anyways, let us get into that Big Six review, and we are going to start off. Normally, we like to go in a little bit of a chronological order, but
A for Arsenal?
A for Arsenal. Yeah, exactly. We're going to start with A for Arsenal. We're going to talk about the big week, the biggest week of the season for Arsenal, and they come out with 2 W's. Probably the biggest, week we've had as a club since last season when they won the FA Cup. And I mean, look, I would be. I've got to mention the Europa League game. I want to touch on the Spurs game a little bit more, but got to mention the Europa League game. A big 3-1 win. Obviously, those are 3 key away goals as well. Now all we got to do is just not give up 3 goals to Olympiacos on Thursday, and we're through. I mean, they can come to the Emirates and beat us 2-0, and we're still through. So that was a big win. A couple absolute screamers in that game. Odegaard with a freaking missile to give us the lead.
Mm-hmm.
And then later in the game, we were up 2-1. El Nini coming off the bench.
That was hype as fuck.
Y'all, you remember what I said in the group chat regarding El Nini?
You're like, oh God.
At the time it was 1-1. And we were playing shit. Like, Ceballos and Leno had that mistake. Honestly, for me, it's 50-50. I don't know why Leno is passing it to him in that situation when there's like 3 guys surrounding him. But then Ceballos easily could have just kicked it first time out wide, but he decided to do like a little Cruyff turn or some weird pirouette shit and tried to spin out of it. Like, you just got to know the circumstance right there. But it was 1-1 at the time, and it was, close to the 80th minute, and I saw El Nini about to come on. This was right before Gabriel scored that header to give us the lead. And I texted our group chat, and I was like, are we being fucking serious right now? El Nini is getting brought on. And I've been on here multiple times. I am a big Arteta supporter, but in that moment, I said, fuck it, Arteta out. I was done seeing El Nini come on the pitch.
You're like, sack his ass right fucking now. I was like,
But literally a minute after I sent that shit, Gabriel scored. And then El Nini comes on, and hey, this is why Arteta is paid to be a manager of the club. He comes on and scores a fucking screamer from 25 yards. Flashbacks of his goal in the Camp Nou like 5 seasons ago.
Hey, chat shit, get banged. That's what El Nini said.
I will happily get banged right there, no homo. But big win for Arsenal during the midweek. 3-1, 3 away goals. All but wrapped up the tie. But I will say, if there is a team that can fuck this and can mess this up, it is Arsenal. So they better not get complacent on Thursday. They still better come prepared to play, because Olympiacos will throw the kitchen sink at us. But a really big win. I thought there were some really good performers. Gabriel was tremendous in that game. Had the goal. He was also great at the back. Odegaard was very good. Got his goal as well. So some good performances in that game. And then we moved on to the big one. It was, I want to say, domination from the start to the finish, but there was like that weird 10 minutes at the end where even though Spurs went down to 10 men, we decided to just back off and defend for some reason.
Terrible.
But hey, we got the W. How you feeling, Sling?
We're feeling good. Sitting there the first 30 minutes, just feeling so unlucky.
That was the most frustrating shit ever.
We were just about hitting the post. Nothing was going our way. They're getting all those lucky bounces. And then finally, we were able to break through and tie just before the half. I thought that was really big going into the half. We shouldn't have even been tied. We should have been winning at that point. But I thought it was really, really important for us to get that goal before half, just to kind of get that momentum back. And then obviously, lastly, 20 minutes, we're able to come back and score another one there to take the lead. Laka had a nice fucking run on. Pepe with a nice ass pass in to the box.
Dude, that pass is not going to get talked about because, if Lacazette just finishes it and doesn't have to get a penalty and then score that, if Lacazette gets that, and he probably should have, it was a missed kick by Laka. He's a little bit fortunate to get it's definitely a penalty. I've seen people argue that it wasn't, but it's clearly a penalty. You can't just take the dude out. It doesn't matter that he already shot the ball. Right. But if Lacazette finishes that and it's a direct assist for Pepe, everyone is talking about Pepe's pass because that. He basically shot that in there. He hit it about as hard as he could. It was pinpoint. It had some curl on it to get it around a defender, like a 30, 35-yard pass right into Laka. That was a world-class pass from Pepe. He's been really, really good lately.
And
the only thing I can really complain about Arsenal as of late, the last week or so, is that I feel like Pepe should be getting more minutes like that. I feel like he's deserving of it. But if we keep winning, I'm not going to complain. We would be remiss to not mention the Lamela goal as much as I hate Spurs and I don't like Lamela either. I was watching that live, and when he first scored, I was confused as shit because I didn't see his right foot come back And I know he didn't shoot it with his left foot, so I was like, how the hell did he just score that? And then they showed the replay, and you see the Rabona. That shit was just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
And because we won, I can sit here and actually give it appreciation. Because if we wouldn't have won, I would just be triggered over it and be mad, and I really wouldn't want to talk about it. But that was like an all time North London derby goal. But as it is the history of the Tottenham, it ends up not being worth a shit because they lost the game.
No way, Jose.
I saw a tweet that was like, they're going to put that shot in their trophy case.
Yeah. Add that one to the trophy case with that Audi Cup preseason trophy they won a couple years ago. So who are your standout performers of the game for Arsenal?
Well, for one, I thought Odegaard looked good again.
Yeah.
He was able to get his first official Premier League goal, so that was awesome. I really like Zaka there in the first half. I think I saw a stat there. He was 35. Zaka. I don't know the fuck to say his name anymore.
Saka. I think it's actually Saka. Whatever.
Saka.
Sling kind of struggles pronouncing words every now and then, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't already realized
I ain't well with the pronunciation. All right, there, mister. Yeah, I think I saw the stat. He was like 35 or 35 with the passes in the first half. So it's always good when you're.
Yeah, I think what they said is they pulled him off because he had like some hamstring tightness at halftime.
Yeah.
And so they just didn't want to risk it. I honestly think that he deserves a rest now. Like, I'd leave him out of the Europa League game. I'd probably even leave him out of the West Ham game at the weekend. And then you have the international break. So, I mean, that gives him a good 2 or 3 week rest. And then you can get him ready for the end stretch of the season. Because even his last few games, he's still been good because that's just the quality he has. But he hasn't been like that incredible player that he was for like a span of a month or so leading up to that. So I think he just looks really tired and needs a rest. I thought Smith Rowe, that first half performance by him, I mean, he was unreal in the first half. If he would have scored that goal, he deserved that goal. What a hit. It hit the crossbar. But his performance really deserved a goal. For me, it was him, Odegaard, and Tierney were like the three real standout guys for me. Tierney was just rinsing Doherty on that right side.
With that
the dude could not keep up with him. that LeBron James. Everyone knows it's coming, but you just can't defend it. No. It doesn't matter. You cannot defend it.
No.
But yeah, what is like your – because this is the thing for me with Odegaard. It seems like he really likes being at Arsenal, and I kind of said it to y'all. I was like, he reminds me – he's not at Mesut Ozil's level, right? Let me get that straight. Mesut Ozil at his prime, even for Arsenal, his first few years at Arsenal, was a world-class player, one of the best attacking midfielders probably in the history of the game. But he reminds me of him because of like the little intricate and neat stuff that he does, the eye and football brain that he has. But he also does things that Ozil never did. I mean, he'll track back and defend. He'll work he'll work hard for the team and do some things unselfishly. I mean, he just seems like the perfect player for the Premier League, in my opinion, because in the Premier League, you need to have that hard working side of your game as well. And I mean, what would be like I don't know if Real Madrid are going to sell him. Apparently, the rumor is if Zidane stays, that they will probably look to sell him. But if they get a new coach, there's a good chance they might not. What would be like your max price you would – because I was thinking like anything 50 million or below, I'm paying it for Odegaard. What's your like max price for him?
I mean,
because he's still only 22 years old too, which is something you got to also remember.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like 40 or 50. I don't think anything more than that. Probably not right now. But anything
I guess it
less
kind of depends.
50, I mean, would be perfect.
And I think it kind of depends too, like at the end of the season. Like if he just goes on an absolute tear, I guess his price could rise a little bit more. I wouldn't mind him like every now and then against like I know we play like West Brom. Like maybe have an off game against them, and then maybe have an off game against like a Newcastle, because I feel like we can still beat those teams without him. So I don't want him to just like go off for the rest of the games of the season. I need you to don't go too crazy, because we got to keep your price tag down a little bit, and we don't want Real Madrid to really want you to go back to the team. But yeah, really good performance. 2 good performances by him. Got 2 goals, an absolute screamer, and then that goal in the North London derby. It's always nice to get your first Premier League goal, especially against them out down the road. And yeah, I mean, North London has been and always will be red. That's all I've got to say about that as we move on.
Gunnosaurus Rex.
All right, let's move on to the team that just finished up like 30 minutes ago. Just start the podcast a little bit later this week, because I don't know how time changes work in Europe and like the UK, because I don't know if y'all noticed, like normally these midweek games are usually at 2 o'clock, not 3 o'clock, but it was at 3 o'clock today because we had the time change here in the States, and I think that maybe they switched their clocks like a few weeks later, or maybe they don't even do that. But anyways, I think we're only 5 hours behind them at the moment. Instead, normally we're like 6 hours behind. So yeah, that Liverpool game didn't finish until a little bit later. So as a result, we're recording the pod a little bit later. But they got a 2-0 victory, or they got the 1-0 victory today over Wolves. Got a victory in the league after all the struggles they've had as of late. Good goal by Diogo Jota, the former Wolves guy. Rui Patricio probably could have saved it, but Liverpool have had no breaks as of late. They might have maybe deserved that break, or they definitely could have at least used it. And they come out of there with a 1-0 victory. And then speaking of Rui Patricio,
he's dead.
Yeah, just want to like send out some hopes and some good wishes and prayers for him. I mean, he took Wolves once again. They had a player just get nailed in the head.
That's been their thing.
It was
guys.
Raul Jimenez got freaking drilled by David Luiz, and then today Wolves defender while running back, and then Patricio was coming to collect the ball on a through ball. He got the ball on the Wolves defender. It looked like his knee just went right into Patricio's head, and looked like he might have been knocked out cold. So hopefully he'll be all right.
Headshot gods, I swear.
But yeah, before that, Liverpool this week, their bigger win of the week was obviously at home against Leipzig. Or it was their home leg. It wasn't actually at home. I believe that game was played in Budapest, which is where both the legs were played. So it's weird that they have home and away legs. But they win 2-0 over Leipzig. They get the 4-0 aggregate victory. Good win for them. Leipzig is not a brilliant team per se, but they are not any pushover at all. And a 4-0 victory over them over aggregate is pretty impressive. So maybe Liverpool can keep that run going in the Champions League. As I think they moved into a decent spot in the Premier League with the win today. They're only 5 points behind Chelsea, but Chelsea also have a game in hand. So we'll see how. Or wait, no, they don't have a game in hand. They're both on 29 points, or 29 games. But so they're 5 points back of Chelsea in the fourth position. So they still have an outside chance at top four. I don't know if it's going to happen. I wouldn't expect for them to get to top four, but you can always make that run in the Champions League. I'm sure that's probably what they're looking towards right now. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the team that obviously has secured a top four spot and pretty much has secured a title in the Premier League, and that is Manchester City. 2 games in the Premier League for them this week, no European games. They had a nice win against Southampton, kind of a crazy game. Obviously 7 goals. It was a 5-2 win for City. City were denied a stonewall penalty, like completely stonewall penalty. I don't know if it's because the refs felt sorry for Southampton and just didn't want to give it to him or what, but that was such a stonewall penalty. It was like the one that, like the last week we had a stonewall penalty. Arsenal didn't get a stonewall penalty against Burnley, and then this week City didn't get a stonewall penalty versus Southampton. So I wonder who will be this upcoming week. Probably Arsenal again, but yeah, a 5-2 win against Southampton, pretty dominant, and then another dominant victory over the weekend, 3-0 over Fulham, as they can maintain their lead in the Premier League up to 14 points now. United and Leicester, who are kind of the only ones that maybe even have a mathematical chance. I guess more than them have mathematical chances, but they're the only ones that could conceivably, even if a miracle happened, they would be the only two that could maybe have a chance. And they do have a game in hand on them, but they'd still be double digits points behind. So I think we all know that that's a foregone conclusion in the Premier League for Manchester City. And then moving on to their London rivals, United had kind of a tough one during the midweek. They drew 1-1 against AC Milan. Not a good draw because it was the home leg in the tie. AC Milan, I believe it was like in the 92nd minute or something. It was in stoppage time, I believe, scored off of a corner to tie it 1-1. It was nothing more. It was nothing more than they deserved, or nothing less, whatever you want to put that. But they definitely deserved it. They had a goal chalked off earlier in the game. I don't know if y'all saw that. Frank Kessié, who's a good midfielder for Milan, he scored a goal, like an absolute banger. He took it off like his it looked like his chest or his midsection area, and then hit it off like the half volley into the corner, and they were up. That would have put them up 1-0 at the time.
Where they like called off his arm or something.
They said it was off his arm. They showed every single angle. You could not see it go off his arm. And then on top of that, like when a ball hits your arm's probably going to move a little bit, right? Just from like the impact. His arm never moved. So I don't know how they got that, but VAR Chester United kind of got saved there because a 2-1 loss would have been catastrophic in that game. But I mean, even 1-1, I think Milan go out feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah.
They didn't have Ibra. They were missing, I think Rebic was out too. They were missing a few of their, I think Chanaloglu or whatever, the Turkish winger. I believe he wasn't playing as well. So they were missing a few of their best players, and yet they were still able to walk out of there with a draw and a key away goal. So,
Do you know if they're going to be back for the next leg, Ibra and some of those key players?
There's going to be at least one or two of them. Like, I don't know if all of them are going to be back, but I know they're getting some back for the next leg. So United kind of put themselves in a tough position there. They didn't play very good, and Milan definitely deserved at least a draw from that game, if not even more. And then United, they regrouped, though, at the weekend. Another 1-0 victory over West Ham. They beat them a few weeks ago in the FA Cup 1-0, albeit that was in extra time. But they were able to get the 1-0 victory in this one. It was an own goal by Phil Dawson that did West Ham in, but which – you would say is lucky, but if United did deserve to win that game, if not for poor finishing from some of their players, they could have won that 3 or 4-0.
They dominated most of that game.
Yeah,
shots on target.
It was definitely a deserved win for United, and that's a good victory over West Ham, who are they're even up there trying to challenge for a Champions League spot. And I bet you, as a Chelsea fan, you probably appreciate United getting the W there.
Yeah.
Although I guess maybe a draw would have been the perfect result for Chelsea, because then that could have meant both of them drop points. But
yeah, but I mean, shit, as long as we're getting on one of them,
we're keeping the lead on
West Ham.
Yep. And then finally, the last team we will go over is the only team that played just one game this week. Chelsea. They just had the one game against Leeds. Not the greatest result for the Blues.
Yeah, definitely would have liked a win there. Shocking that neither team scored in that match. I mean, literally multiple opportunities on both sides. Multiple good opportunities, too. Not just, shots from outside of the box or contested shots. I mean, there were literally shots that both of the teams would have put away easily on any other given day. Even though we had double their shots on target, and
I think quality of chances, though, y'all are pretty much even.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was frustrating. Nobody could finish anything, and weird seeing somebody keep a clean sheet against Leeds, and
yeah,
it just doesn't happen that often with their efficiency in the attack. But oh well, at least we didn't lose. We'll take 1 point away from that. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, you keep the unbeaten run under Tuchel. Still hasn't lost a game since becoming manager. And Leeds almost scored maybe the worst own goal I think I've ever seen, if that happened. I think their goalkeeper tried to clear it, and it came back off of a Leeds player and then went off the crossbar. I thought Mendy made a few really good saves in that game, especially one was a world-class save.
Oh, where he was on the ground and reached with his hand back. Yeah, that one was sick.
And yeah, I mean, Pulisic got a start. I mean, which is nice. We've been asking for a start, but the dude starts at right wing back. That's what I wanted to
hit on too.
What the fuck are you doing?
Literally, he's not a wing back. All right, he's not.
He's not a striker either.
He's not a great defender. He's not a striker. Play him on the wing and keep him in that midfield to attack area.
That's what
he creates opportunities, and he created 2 or 3 that game. Yeah. And Kai Havertz sold him completely on one, and then he had another that was a decent opportunity. But if you don't score that, I can kind of see why. But I mean, he's literally giving our attackers chances, which is what he's there for.
From a right wing back spot.
Yeah, from a right wing back spot, and nobody can capitalize on that. And then people are saying "Oh, he did nothing again today." It's no, he did. Just nobody fucking finished his passes.
Yeah. What I don't understand is he's not a defender. I don't know why. I understand that that right wing back spot is really more attacking than defending, but still, I mean, he has to be smart with his positioning and all. Yeah. But Pulisic has played in the number 10 role before. He's played for the national team in that number 10 role. He's played for Dortmund. I've seen him play there in the 10 role, and I think he's even played there a few times for Chelsea. So why not play him in that 10 role? I guess maybe that's a bounce spot, but so maybe that's why they don't play him there. But yeah, I don't like him at right wing back. But I guess hey, at least he got minutes. We've been begging for a start, and he did get some. So
yeah,
or he did get a start. That was one of those people will complain, oh, how can you enjoy watching a 0-0 game? And that's true, like 80% of the time, maybe 90% of the time. But that was actually like a decent 0-0 game. It was just poor finishing and some bad luck for both sides to not get get some goals on the board. All right, so let's see how our picks went this week. I think we did a hell of a lot better than we did last week. What you say, son?
I would say as a whole, we did a lot better with our picks. Overall, I mean, I only had like 3 that I got wrong. You had 2 that you got wrong. Jake had 3 that he got wrong.
So there was like several where we got like perfect scores too.
Yeah, there are actually a lot of perfect scores this week. I got a couple. I think Logan had like 3 perfect scores this week, and Jake had a couple. So yeah, scores shaping out right now. I'm sitting at third with 11. Logan has 13 and Jake has 14. So Logan's able to close the gap and on Jake.
Dude, 11 points for me this week because I remember I had like 2 points at the end of last week. Me and you both had 2 points at the end of last week. So hey, those are good scores. And then Jake, I think, had 5, so he still got 9 points this week.
Yeah.
Some good picking from the boys this week.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can look at it. You can look at the document. You see all the red from last week, and there's only a little bit of red from this week. So,
and
if you wanted to take betting advice from us last week, we probably got y'all some money. So you're welcome.
And
you're
then,
welcome, boys.
One of the reds I want to highlight here before we wrap up the pick update is under the Spurs Arsenal game. One of us did not get that game correctly, and he picked a 2-1 Spurs result.
Sling, didn't I try to warn him?
I just gotta ask something, Jake. How does it feel to be a stupid motherfucker?
Here, let me ask you about last week. How does it feel to be a stupid motherfucker to pick against Chelsea?
How does it feel to be a stupid motherfucker?
It's very hypocritical of you.
Yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this pick update.
All right. And Sling, seeing as you are about to leave us, we probably need to go ahead and get our Sling Speaks segment in before you head out.
And picks for next week.
We'll just Sling can send us his picks.
Yeah,
and then me and Jake will go over that. But Sling has other responsibilities to deal with.
Yeah, putting
tonight.
real life over the pod.
Yeah, for real. Well, absolute disgrace. But yeah, we need to get into our Sling Speaks podcast or Sling Speaks podcast, Sling Speaks segment of the podcast before you get out of here. So just go ahead and take us away.
Okay, I got a few things I want to touch on this week with you guys while we're here. First and foremost, an update on my UK soccer shop fiasco that's fucking still going on. They lied to me and told me that my refund had gone in today, and his not. So at UK Soccer Shop, you owe me $130.15 fucking cents. So I'll be looking out for that. Word to your mum. What else are we looking at here? Obviously, Arsenal with a big win this week against Spurs. So the message of the week is London is red.
And what do you have to say to these Spurs fans that thought that they were just hot shit and thought they were just going to roll into the Emirates, our fucking stadium, and just run us over? What do you have to say to those cocky bastards? They're just arrogant for no reason.
Men's not hot.
Men's not hot.
And the quote of the week, no way, Jose. That's all I got to say. Sayonara, boys.
All right, Sling. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you next week.
It's always a pleasure.
All right, so now that we have gotten rid of the dead weight, let's take a break from the Premier League. Let's get into the U.S. men's national team rundown. Kind of a slow week on the pitch, but off the pitch there is a bunch of shit going on. But Jake, you want to start us off by giving us the on the pitch business?
Yeah. So there was a lot of news too this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll start off giving a quick shout out to Lyndon the fucking Gooch for scoring the winning goal for Sunderland in a 1-0 victory over Tranmere in the EFL Trophy final over the weekend.
Yeah, he. I believe that is Sunderland's first trophy, at least cup trophy, in 48 years. So yeah, I mean it's a lower league trophy. I think it's like League One division and then below her play for that trophy. It's not even like, obviously the Premier League doesn't, and I don't even think the Championship does either. But hey, a trophy is a trophy.
Yes, sir.
Sunderland has been in decline for the last 10 or so years. I mean, they were in the Premier League just 5 or 6 years ago. But it's good to see them get their first trophy. I think they had been 0 for 7, their last 7 at Wembley Stadium until that win.
And on the back of an American.
Yeah, and the American got the goal. Hasn't played for the national team in a few years. Likely needs to get promoted back up to the Championship if he wants to get back in that national team picture. But I believe Sunderland are in a spot to play in the promotion playoffs as of right now, which I believe. I'm saying that kind of ignorantly. I don't know necessarily if they have the Championship playoffs in League One. Obviously, they have those playoffs in the Championship, but it might just be promotion relegation based on league position. But they are in a spot to potentially get promoted, so hopefully he can help Sunderland get back up in the Championship, and then that'll enter his name back into the U.S. men's national team picture.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Plus, I'd buy a jersey with his name on the back.
Yeah.
Fucking Gooch. What a great name. Anyways, another cup game. 2 U.S. men's national team center backs went head-to-head in the Belgian Cup semifinals. Ultimately, Mark McKenzie and Genk came out on top, 2-1 over Matt Miazga and Anderlecht.
Yeah, Genk had a 2-0 lead, and that second goal, unfortunately for Matt Miazga, was an own goal from him, and that ended up being the winning goal. So Genk move on to the final of that cup, and Matt Miazga and Anderlecht are out of it.
I'm getting baby Omar Gonzalez vibes.
No, nobody will ever top his absolutely world-class own goal that kept us out of the World Cup.
Oh,
no one will ever top him.
That was awesome. Anyways, after committing to the U.S. men's national team this past week, Jordan Sabachow picked up an assist on the weekend for the young boys in the Swiss League.
Yep, got an assist. He played also in the Europa League game during the midweek. They did lose. They will probably be heading out of the Europa League, but good assist for him. As like you said, he earlier in the week, I believe, like in the middle of the week, he did commit to the men's national team. We brought him up last week. We talked about how he could choose the U.S., France, and what was it? Cameroon, I think, was the other one. It was one of those African nations. I believe it. No, Ghana's. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. We'll talk about that later. But I believe it was Cameroon. But he did commit to the U.S. 24 years old, so he's not like super young. But the striker position is something that is unproven right now for the U.S. So hey, we'll take whoever we can get, come in and compete for the spot, and hopefully he'll get called up for that. For the national team break, which is coming up soon, and I would be guessing that Berhalter would probably be releasing that roster here this upcoming week.
Yeah, definitely excited for the prospects that we have at striker coming in.
It looked very bleak at that position just a month ago, and now it's looking pretty good.
Yeah,
at least numbers wise. You never know who's going to pan out though.
Yep. All right, going over to La Liga. 2 starts for Serginho Dest this week at Barcelona as they go out of Europe in a 5-2 aggregate loss to PSG, but bounced back with a win today over
Huesca. It's probably Huesca, I guess.
Jucarea, as they move closer to Atletico Madrid at the top of the La Liga.
Yep, I believe they are now 4 points off of Madrid. Madrid were 13 points clear, like just a month and a half ago. So 4-point gap now. They're closing the gap on them. I thought he looked good in both games. I thought he was really solid against PSG. Was absolutely tearing apart PSG's left back Kurzawa. In fact, they had to take Kurzawa off at halftime because he was just getting ripped by Dest. And, Barca a little bit unlucky. I mean, if they would have played like that over 2 legs, they'd be going through. I thought that was a really good performance by them against PSG, especially that first half performance. If Ousmane Dembele just knew how to score, like put the ball in the back of the net, which is kind of important in this sport, they actually might have been able to do the impossible in that game. But he missed, 3 or 4 golden opportunities. In that second half, PSG really just they were smart about their play. They kind of controlled, didn't really give Barca too many opportunities, and they were able to knock out Serginho and Barcelona out of the Champions League.
Was that the PSG game that Dest had a shot that hit off the crossbar?
Yeah, it was early in the game. That would have helped too.
Yeah, that would have been
unlucky.
A sweet goal too. But yeah, anyways, two more Americans bounce out of Europe this week as Weston McKennie and Juve shockingly lose to Porto. And as we went over earlier, Liverpool knock out Tyler Adams and RB Leipzig.
Yep. I mean, last week we brought up the fact of how much better Juve's record is with McKennie in the starting lineup, and Pirlo does not start him against Porto, and they lose. So coincidence? I don't
I
believe
think
so.
fucking not.
And the thing is, bro, when they brought him on, he was playing out wide. Like they didn't even bring him on and play him in center mid.
What
like,
the hell is with these damn managers
know.
and playing Americans out of position? You're setting them up for failure. What are you doing? Play them where they're good at, and they will make a difference. I don't get it, man. But yeah, anyways, Christian Pulisic is now the only American left in the Champions League this season. So on a high note, that's pretty cool. He got a start for Chelsea over the weekend as well in a draw against Leeds. Once again, should have had maybe 2 assists.
at least one for sure.
Yeah, but at least in the Champions League, we have that 1 goal on aggregate against Atletico going into the second one with some confidence. Hopefully we can come out of there with a win, even a draw. I'll take that too.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say about the Champions League is I mean, I'm about 95% sure he doesn't start, but the Champions League in Europe, across Europe this season, those competitions, you have 5 subs. So, I mean, he's almost certain to get brought on against Atletico. So, hopefully he can do something as of note in that game and do something important.
Yep. Hopping out of England, we're going to go over into Germany. Josh Sargent kept his goal-scoring form going with a 3rd goal in his many games for Werder Bremen. In a win earlier in the week versus Arminia Bielefeld, he then followed that up with a strong performance at the weekend against Bayern, albeit in a 3-1 loss.
Yeah, it was a good performance. I'm drawing a blank on the account name. It might just be USMNT national team videos on Twitter. Shout out to them. They release like clips and shit of like players in Europe of like their performances. And there's a clip of him versus Bayern. I didn't watch that game, obviously. And he didn't do anything that popped up on the stat sheet in that game, but I thought his movement and the way that he carried the ball and linked up with his teammates was really smooth in that game. He's really caught form as of late over the past few weeks. And certainly I would guess he'd be getting called up to the national team here for this upcoming window, and hopefully he can transfer over that form into those friendlies.
I hope so. Yeah, especially the way he's going right now, we definitely need that on the U.S.
And it's hard to score goals in that Werder Bremen team, by the way. They're just not a very, well-flowing side offensively.
Yeah. Staying in Germany, Gio Reyna returned to the Dortmund side on Saturday after a brief stint out with injury. He was stretching and nearly scored shortly after coming off the bench, only to get denied by the post.
Yeah, a little unlucky. It was I think Makuku is his name. He's like a 16-year-old that plays for Dortmund. He's pretty damn good. But it looked like a shot from him, but he kind of pulled it. And Reyna was at the back post, but it was just hit with so much pace, and he was stretching for it. It was pretty tough. It wasn't a bad miss at all, albeit it was only like 3 or 4 yards out, but very tough for him to redirect that on target, and it unfortunately hit the post. So he's kind of been robbed by a couple of goals over recent weeks. Had that one where he scored, and the ref decided to say, fuck it, we're just going to pull it back for a penalty.
Yes.
And then this one, a little unlucky by hitting the post. But good to see him back out on the pitch after out for a couple weeks from injury.
Yeah, he's definitely one of our most promising up-and-coming guys. Then we go over to John Brooks at Wolfsburg. They solidified their position of 3rd in the Bundesliga table with a 5-0 thrashing of Schalke.
Yeah, some teams around them that were below them in 4th place. I believe that was Leverkusen. They dropped points at the weekend, so Liverpool getting all Liverpool. Where did I even get Liverpool? Anyways, Wolfsburg getting all 3 points. I think that they're now 4 points clear of 4th place in the Bundesliga table. Obviously, if they get 4th, they're still in the Champions League for next season, but want to finish as high as possible. And they just absolutely take it to Schalke and Matthew Hoppe. I don't think Hoppe started in that game. I think he came off the bench. He's kind of been struggling as of late, but as we know, the entire team of Schalke is yeah, they're definitely going down. They're just a horrible team. They're kind of one of those former big teams that is they've kind of lost their way over the last few years.
It's a shame, but yeah, another clean sheet for our wall at the back. Then we're going to go back over into England. Daryl DK and Barnsley got a massive 3-2 win over Cameron Carter-Vickers and Bournemouth on the weekend to give themselves some breathing room in that final championship playoff spot.
Yep, like we said before, 3 through 6 plays in those semifinals, and then final for to earn that one final spot to get promoted into the Premier League. And they were, I believe, going into that game 1 point ahead of Bournemouth, who were in 7th. Barnsley were in 6th, and now with that win, they are 4 points ahead of them. Little American on American crime in that game. Barnsley, you see that video where Barnsley played DK through, but I mean he was like a solid 5-6 steps behind Carter Vickers, but he hawked Carter Vickers down and clattered into him and tackled him and actually got the throw in for Barnsley. He seems like a fan favorite over there.
Yeah.
In Barnsley, and then also we had earlier in the week where there was reports of a £10 million bid came in for DK from one of the top 6 clubs in the Premier League. So I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. Like, I mean, it'd be dope to see him play for like a, as long as it's not Spurs. Well, honestly, if it's Spurs, he's not going to play over Harry Kane.
Top 6 team that wants him.
I could, for me, the only one that makes sense, or there's a few. One, I think Aguero might be leaving City here soon. So then they're just left with Gabriel Jesus. Although I don't see DK's style of play fitting into Man City. Liverpool, they don't really have an out-and-out striker besides Divock Origi. Because
Firmino's been struggling.
Yeah, and he's really like a false 9. So I could see them maybe because what does Liverpool do? They cross the ball in the box. They try to get it, and he's a very physical forward. I could see him fitting in that. So in my opinion, that's like the spot that might make the most sense. But I don't think he would play for them. Spurs, they have Kane. And unless Kane's going somewhere, he's not going to play for Spurs. Chelsea, they have Timo.
Too many players.
Timo, you think will come around eventually. You still have the likes of Giroud and Abraham behind him, so I don't really want him to go to Chelsea either.
Yeah.
And Arsenal, I could see because there are rumors of us selling Alexander Lacazette this offseason, which I am fully against. I don't want that to happen just because of the weekend. The dude has scored in 4 straight games against Spurs, so he's just a big game player. And I don't want him to be sold, but that could happen. And so if he does get sold, we're really just left with Aubameyang and Nketiah, which I do not rate Nketiah. I think he might get sold as well. And then, yes, we do have Balogun in the system, but his contract expires in the summer, so who knows if he'll even be at the club next season. So maybe they could be thinking about bringing in DK as a backup. But
you got Man United.
But they have Cavani. They have, although isn't Cavani on only like a 1-year contract? But I can see him getting brought back next year. But you still have Rashford, who plays out wide, but he can play striker. You have Martial. They just got that 18-year-old Diallo, who scored in the Europa League for them this past week. So yeah, I don't. The only ones that make sense for me is Arsenal if they end up selling Lacazette and then either sell or loan out Nketiah, or Liverpool. Liverpool would make a little bit of sense to me, just because their style of play would kind of fit a physical striker like him. He's not going to start for them, but he could get minutes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Preferably, in my opinion, I hope Barnsley get promoted and he stays with them because I think he could use another year at like a lower level. At least maybe if Fulham stay up and they
stay
could
at
come
that
in
lower
for
level team, but while also competing in the Premier League.
Yeah, I just don't think right now he's only 20. We have to remember that.
Yeah.
He looks like an absolute animal and grown ass man on the pitch, but he's still only 20 years old. He's underdeveloped as a player, so he could still use a couple more years at a side where he's not going to be surrounded by world class players, but he's going to be playing week in and week out, which is important at this stage of development in his career.
Yeah. So, that
kind of transitioned into what we're about to talk about now, the off-the-pitch stuff.
Yeah. Like we said, not near as much action as last week for us on the pitch, but off the pitch, we got some good news.
Before we get into what's on the docket, I did just mention Valerian Balogun. He has a little bit of something to do with what we're about to talk about here.
Yeah.
Give us the big news that was announced this morning.
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
we got him.
Yeah, we got him. Just earlier today, it's been going on for a while that this guy has had a few international teams that he could decide from. I think it was us, England, and Ghana, or us,
and Italy as well,
and Italy. So yeah, 3. Really big to even Ghana. That's a decent side to play for.
Yeah, one of the better African sides.
Yeah, they're pretty good. But Yunus Musah finally announced that he's fully committed to the U.S. men's national team. He's 18 years old, a midfielder. midfielder / winger.
I think he probably projects as a midfielder long term,
Yeah.
but could maybe see him in his first few years possibly playing out wide.
Yeah, he picked us today.
Yeah, big news. He's only 18 years old. He plays for Valencia. He was a starter for Valencia at the beginning of the season. I think he's kind of had a little bit of a drop of form, so he comes off the bench. Oh my good lord, that! I'm sorry, I'm just a 14-year-old dude just going through puberty. Anyways, but he's been coming off the bench the last couple months for Valencia. But hey, I mean, you're 18 years old, coming off the bench for a good club in La Liga. That's pretty good, and every youngster has that drop of form. We're even seeing it now. As much as I rate Bukayo Saka, I think the last 3 games he's had at Arsenal haven't been nearly as good as he's capable of. But I mean, only 18 years old. He's already played a couple times for the national team. Speaking of Arsenal, he's a former Arsenal guy. Was in the academy, which that would have been cool if we could have had an Arsenal player play for the national team. But this is where I'm going to bring something up. I think if he's still at Arsenal, I don't think he's a U.S. player right now because he's playing in England. You'd have all the English players around you all the time. There's a lot of pressure from all those guys in the press. Just your environment. You're in that country. I don't think he commits to the U.S. He might have not even ended up playing in those friendlies a few months ago if he was still in England. So I think leaving England did him some good. He saw kind of the outside world beyond that. And massive. And this is where I brought up earlier that 5 minutes ago that Valérien Balogun plays. He's a striker, 19-year-old striker for Arsenal. Has only gotten a few games for the senior team, and because of that, he's a great talent. I wish he played over Nketiah, albeit although Nketiah has not even been playing lately, which I'm completely fine with that because I don't rate the kid. No offense against him, but. He hasn't been playing a ton for Arsenal, and I mean he's only 19 years old. You got to wait your turn, especially at a big club. But his contract expires in the summer, and there are reports that there's several teams in Germany, there's some teams in Italy, there's some other teams in the Premier League that are interested in him. Arteta wants to re-sign him to a long-term deal, and I do hope that happens. But a part of me sits here and thinks like, could this be another Musah situation where he leaves Arsenal, goes to Germany, and now he doesn't have all that English, propaganda and pressure surrounding him, and that might kind of push him towards the U.S. men's national team because we both saw that he gave a little thumbs up and a little handshake emoji on Musah's post earlier today. So I mean, hey, maybe we could have another striker being added to the pool.
That's sick.
That'd be pretty cool. But so yeah, I mean that's someone to watch over the next year or so. I would bet. See where his career goes at a club level, and then that might translate to helping us at the international level.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
But hey, Craig Berhalter, I'm not sure about him as a coach. I don't know. Like I have seen improvements from him in his system. The last 5 or 6 friendly games we played.
Yeah.
The problem is we haven't had a competitive game in almost 2 years since the Gold Cup. So, we did have the Nations League games, but I mean that was against Canada, and no offense to Canada, we should be handling them fairly easily, and it wasn't even with like some of our best players. But this man is moving like Nick Saban off the pitch when it comes to recruiting. Just hopefully he can move like Nick Saban on the pitch and coach like him. Because if he can, dude, we're in business. Coaching staff and then the surrounding supporting staff around have done a really good job of getting dual nationals. Obviously, we got Dest earlier this season. He could have picked Netherlands. Even Gio Reyna, although I mean I think everybody knows he would have picked the U.S. just because his dad is a U.S. legend. Yeah. His mom even played for the women's national team, but he had the chance to play for Argentina, and I mean they're better than the U.S. So, yeah. And we got him as well. There's some other dual nationals that are on the team. You just got Musah. Looking forward, we just got Saibachu as well.
Yep.
You have guys like Chris Richards, who technically is a dual national. I believe he could play for Germany, but he won't. He's going to play for the U.S. as well. And then, like we said, in the future, you got Balogun coming up. He might be making a decision here within the next year or so, and maybe he can keep it cooking when it comes to the recruiting side of things. I think we are behind, a lot of, development wise with soccer, with football, just because, there's other sports in the U.S. that are more important than that. and the infrastructure just isn't there like it is in Europe. And even South American teams, I wouldn't say infrastructure, but just the passion and everything they have towards the game is just so much more important to what it is here in the U.S. But I mean, from a recruiting standpoint, I don't know if anyone's doing it better right now than the U.S.
Yeah, no, I think he's doing a great job. I hope that can translate over onto the pitch. But
Yeah. We'll see here in a couple weeks. Got the international break in 2 decent sides. Northern Ireland's no pushover, and Jamaica recently. Speaking of recruiting, they've had some good recruiting with Mikel Antonio coming from West Ham. A couple years ago they secured Leon Bailey from Bayer Leverkusen. So CONCACAF teams
they're definitely a decent side.
Yeah,
Jamaica.
CONCACAF teams have been doing a good job of recruiting dual nationals. And before we get on to what we're going to talk about next, still on the U.S. men's national team, this is a long rundown. It was an exciting week. You can't blame us. But I do have to mention the fact that Efrain Alvarez, the Mexican and U.S. Dual national, looks like he may have chosen Mexico.
I think I saw that.
They picked their U23 World Cup qualifying squad, just like the U.S. did, and we're about to touch on those games in a second. And Alvarez was on that squad, so you would think that's him looking at playing for Mexico because he probably got an invite to the U.S. U23 as well, and him choosing Mexico, you would think that it means that he probably will play for them. Now he has to play a competitive game. I don't exactly know if the Olympics will count as competitive games because it is technically U23. Actually U24 this year since they pushed it back a year. They extended the age limit by 1. So I don't know if he plays in the Olympics for them, if he's cap tied, because obviously to get cap tied, you have to play in a competitive match. It can't just be in friendlies.
Yeah.
But it looks like he's chosen Mexico. I mean, probably the right choice for him. He's a midfielder / winger. We're pretty well stacked in that area, and in that area, we're stacked with young talent. It's not like we're stacked with 28, 29-year-olds where he can sit behind them for a few years and then take over. Like with Mexico. They really have two real good wingers, and one is Tecatito Corona. He's like 28, so you figure in a few years maybe Alvarez could take over for him. And then Irving Lozano's 25. He's not old by any means. I mean, he's kind of in his prime, but he's not your 22-year-old Pulisic, your 18, 19-year-old Gio Reyna, your 18-year-old Yunus Musah, your 18, 19-year-old Timo or 20-year-old Timo Weah. So it's just I'm not going to be real upset about that. If he was a left back, because I think that's kind of a position of need for the U.S., there's not a lot of proven talent there, I would be a hell of a lot more upset. But he's kind of plays in a position, that winger / number 10 role, that we're pretty well stacked there. And I mean, Gio Reyna is probably the one guy you would compare to him that kind of takes that number 10 and wing role, and I would definitely have Reyna over him. So probably the smart decision for him.
Dude, left back for us has been a position of need ever since
DeMarcus Beasley, yeah.
Since he got out of his prime, that's been a position of need. It's been quite a while.
But yeah, so a lot of good news for the U.S. and I guess somewhat, a little bit of more downer news there, but it's not a big loss by any stretch of the means.
Yeah. But going in, or just to kind of, I guess, speak on the U23 Olympic qualifying roster at least.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely
it's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's not the best lineup.
It's we're gonna preview the games here that are coming up this week, but I mean the problem with the U.S. is that you look at Mexico has a few youngsters that are in Europe, so they're not gonna be able to call them up. This is not a European window, or this is not an international window where the clubs are obligated to release them from FIFA and because of FIFA standards and all and rules. So there's a few good young Mexican players that don't get released because they're playing in Europe. And then, I mean, for the U.S., you got guys, the obvious contenders, Pulisic, Reyna, McKinney, Adams, Weah, Musah. None of them are going to get released. I mean, they're pretty much all senior team players. Yeah. So I probably wouldn't expect them to play in qualifying games anyways. Maybe they'll go play in the Olympics, which would be dope as hell to see that young core kind of get that would almost be, if we qualify, that would almost be like a warm-up for the World Cup next year.
Yeah.
So I hope that happens. But the problem with the U.S. is that we have so many of our good, young, talented players in Europe, which is a great thing. It's a very good thing. They're getting the best kind of development over there. That's going to help progress their career forward more than staying here. But because of that, this U23 roster we released is really a B or C team. Whereas Mexico, it's 2 or 3 players away from their A team, and then all the other teams, your Honduras, Costa Rica, Panama,
A team.
Dominican Republic, those other teams it's their A teams because their best young talent are playing in those countries, and obviously those countries are going to release these young guys for those games, so it's going to be tough. We are in a horrible group as well. It's a random draw. We are in a group with Mexico and Costa Rica, which are probably considered the 2 best other.
CONCACAF.
Maybe Honduras. They're pretty good at a youth level. They're in the other group. But the way it goes is it's 2 groups of 4. You play each team once, like a World Cup, like a Olympics or whatever. And then, the top 2 from the groups go through to the semifinals. And then whoever wins the semifinals gets to play in the final. And if you do win that semifinal, those 2 teams that won the semifinal are through to the Olympics. So there's only 2 spots up for grabs. 14 of the 16 teams in the Olympics have already been confirmed. So it's only the 2 spots left from CONCACAF. It starts on Thursday. They play Thursday evening against Costa Rica, and that's the massive game because you look at that Mexico squad. Like we've already said, it's a pretty strong squad. On paper, Mexico is definitely the favorites for these qualifiers. And so you would think that when we play them, I mean, you don't really fancy us to get a win with our roster. So they need to beat Costa Rica in that first game, and that's a hell of a game to start off with. I mean, pressure's on already. They played the Dominican Republic the next game in between before playing Mexico. So, you would think they could get past the Dominican Republic, but
you hope so.
That we haven't played in the Olympics for a while now. I want to say it's 2008 was the last time we qualified for the Olympics. And, it's a missed opportunity for some of these younger guys to play on the biggest stage, and it gets them prepared for their professional career at the national team level, and beyond because – and then for some of them, not all U23 players are going to end up playing for the senior team. I mean, that's the biggest opportunity of their lives, playing the Olympics, even though it's technically a U23 tournament with 3 players over that age that you can bring along. But, I mean, those medals are the same. You get a gold, silver, or bronze in the Olympics. It's the same as Michael Phelps. It's the same as Usain Bolt's gold. It's the same kind of medal, and you get to tell your kids and that you represented your country in the Olympics, and that's about as high of an accomplishment you can have as an athlete. Maybe not for a footballer because it's probably the World Cup, but the Olympics is a hell of an accomplishment. And it's just one of those. It gets their feet wet in that kind of competitive competition against the world. And so it's massive games. They've got to come out. If they could get a win against Costa Rica, that's huge. I don't know Costa Rica's U23 squad. I've seen some tweets on it from people that do follow Costa Rican football, and they like their squad. So, from what I've heard, they've got some good attackers, but their defense is not good at all. So, we could see a high scoring game. Hopefully, we can get the job done there, and then they play the Dominican Republic on Sunday. Got to win that game. And then, if you take 6 points from 2 games, it doesn't really matter what you do against Mexico. You're through to the semifinals. Obviously, winning the group would be great because more than likely you will see Honduras come out of the other side of the other group, and they are generally normally pretty strong at the youth levels. But it's a team that the U.S. can beat. So, you got to get through that, get to that semifinal and qualify for the Olympics. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and this is also a huge opportunity for some of these guys to prove that they can step up on the big stage. Because you look at this roster and you overlook about 95% of it.
I mean, the only ones that really stand out to me, I've seen Sam Vines at left back perform pretty well for the senior team in his few starts, but they're in friendlies against teams that are not very good. Yeah. So you can't really take into much account there. I like Julian Araujo, which, speaking of him, he's even had links to Juventus as of late. The right back from LA Galaxy, 19-year-old. I like him. So I like our fullback positions. Our center backs, not feeling too confident about that spot. Our goalies, I do like Ochoa, the young guy.
From Real Salt Lake.
Yeah, I like him. I don't know if he'll be starting, to be honest, because I think he's only 18 or 19 years old, so they might start one of the older goalies. But I'm not really ever too worried about the goalie position for the U.S. We always seem to have a good one. That's the one spot we always seem to have good players at. The attacking, I was pretty satisfied with the attacking side. I think we've got some good attackers, some good forwards, especially a guy like Julianes, and then Sebastian Soto. I think he'll be prolific. And we saw him in the U20 World Cup a couple years ago, and he was tearing up their U20 France side. So I mean, I wouldn't doubt he'd be able to do it against teams like Costa Rica and Dominican Republic and all. But the midfield is what worries me. I'm not too high on that midfield. And that's where sometimes in games you can win or lose the game based on who controls the midfield. So hopefully they can prove me wrong. And then for some of these players that I'm not, super high on and familiar with, this is their chance to, prove to me, and then not just me, but, all the people, involved with the national team, fans, and even coaches and all. I mean, if you're in this U23 squad and you perform at a really high level, then that projects onto the senior team in the future. So big opportunity for all the guys on the roster.
Yep.
All right, so a very lengthy U.S. men's national team rundown this week. A lot of big stuff going on, mainly off the pitch, and then previews of what will be coming up on the pitch for the U23 side. But it is time to get back into the Big Six. Some big games coming up this week for them. We have some games in the midweek as well, as the weekend in the FA Cup and Premier League. But we will start with the midweek games. First, Liverpool, interestingly enough, do not have a game this week, and they don't even play again until April against Arsenal, so they get a fat break. They'll get a nice rest. That's great. They're going to get a 3-week rest before they play Arsenal, so that's brilliant. But anyways, so we don't have any previews on them this week, and so we will start with a game that is happening tomorrow. Man City will be closing out Borussia Mönchengladbach. They're up 2-0 in aggregate right now. That was also the away leg. The technical away leg. Both are at neutral sites. But 2-0 aggregate, I mean, I can't see Gladbach doing something insane and scoring 3+ goals to win this. I think City will not only go through on the tie, but I think they'll probably win this game as well.
Yep.
And I am actually going to go with a 3-1 victory for City.
Okay. I'm gonna go with a 3-0 win for City.
3-0.
Yeah, I'm saying they shut them out again.
All right, so we got City going through there. Do we have Chelsea going through versus Atletico Madrid?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Not.
We have Chelsea going through against Atletico. Dude, fucking Atletico didn't show me anything in the first leg.
Poor. And they've been in poor form in the La Liga as of late, too.
I'm saying we come in with some confidence. We showed that they really aren't a huge deal. I think we win that game. I'm gonna say 2-1. I think Atletico scores, but I think we beat them 2-1.
See, I think Atletico scores as well. And I do think Chelsea also scores, but I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
I was thinking about
that'll get the job done for Chelsea. Yeah. They'll win 2-1 in aggregate. I don't think Atletico showed me enough from an attacking standpoint where I think they can come. I mean, I could see Atletico pulling off a 1-0 and forcing extra time and then penalties, but I don't unless Chelsea just shoot themselves in the foot. I don't see how Atletico are going to score multiple goals. They showed me absolutely nothing in the first leg. They've not been good in the La Liga for the past month and a half. They're just not on good form. Now, obviously, you have players like Suarez, João Felix, Llorente, Koke, some good players on that side that can, take over a game, but I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. I think Atletico Madrid are going to, at some point, I can see it being like 0-0 at halftime. And then they're going to have to come out and attack in the second half. Yeah. And I could see, because of that, Chelsea could hit them on the counter. And then I think Atletico maybe nick a goal here from a set piece, from whatever. But I am going to go 1-1 for Chelsea, and that will put them through on aggregates.
Yes, sir.
So now on to Spurs versus Dinabro Zagreb. They won their home leg 2-0 against them this past week. I don't think that there's going to be any funny business, to be honest. I don't think Zagreb, they just don't have the players that Spurs have. I think Zagreb might score, but I'm going to go 1-1 again. I think that traveling, and then Spurs are coming off of a bad loss to Arsenal. They're probably not in the highest of spirits right now. Son got injured in that game as well, so they don't have him. Or I doubt he would be back for this game. I don't know for sure, but I don't see anything catastrophic happening. I think they'll get the job done. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw, and I think they will move on to the round of 8.
Yeah, no, I see Spurs going through pretty easily. I think, though, because they already have that 2-0 on aggregate, they're not going to be looking to,
They'll probably just defend, especially knowing Mourinho.
I think Dinamo doesn't even score. I will say Spurs get 1 goal, but I'm saying they win 1-0. I'm saying it's going to be a really boring game.
I don't think I'll be tuning into that game, to be honest with you.
I don't think I am either.
I will. If Dinamo does start doing some wild shit, I will tune in to see if Spurs get knocked out. But nah.
How wild would that be?
I would be so happy. Anyways, let's move on to the Arsenal. They play Olympiacos. Spurs had their first leg at home. Arsenal had their first leg away, so we get to stay in London for this leg. Hosting Olympiacos, we all know how that went last time. But last time we didn't set ourselves up as well of a position, albeit we were up 1-0 going into the home leg. This time we're up 3-1. Olympiacos would have to come and score 3 goals to beat us. And Arsenal does have like that mistake in them. Thankfully, they didn't do it against Spurs, or at least didn't get punished by it. But they do have a mistake in them, so I wouldn't be surprised if Olympiacos scored in this game just because of that. But they did absolutely nothing with their own doing in that first leg. It was all off of our mistakes. And yeah, I mean, I think that they're going to be right in the high of beating Spurs. And I honestly don't even think they will make a mistake this game. I think Olympiacos are going to have to come and attack us. I could see us having maybe a lapse of concentration late in the game and giving up a goal, but I think we will score goals because, 1, we're at home, and then 2, because Olympiacos are going to have to be expansive and because they have to try and score 3 goals, I think we'll hit them on the counter a few times. I'm going to go with a consecutive 3-1 victory for Arsenal.
I'm going to take 1 goal away from y'all, but I say y'all win 2-1.
2-1 for the boys. So we got all the English teams going through so far, but this, for me, is where it ends. I think that United, I think they fucked up in the first leg. I thought that they were really poor. I thought they were lucky that Milan didn't actually beat them. But either way, a 1-1 result is not good for them. Milan got that crucial away goal. Now, if United go to Milan and score 2 goals, that would be massive. I don't know if I rate them to do that, though. Rashford's not been in good goal-scoring form. Martial has been horrific this season. You got Cavani, who I guess might start. I could see, but he's a little up and down as well. I just don't trust this United side from a goal-scoring standpoint. Bruno Fernandes, which doesn't get talked – Bruno Fernandes, as Peter Drury says. But Bruno Fernandes, he hasn't been playing well as of late either, which isn't getting talked about enough because he's Bruno Fernandes. I guess he just gets a pass. But I think that this could be them done. I think it's going to be 1-0 AC Milan. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and I think United are going to have to push everyone forward there at the end, and I think Milan will hit them in the counter, in the last 10 minutes of the game to take a 1-0 victory, and I think that they will go out 2-1, and that first leg is going to end up being what came back to bite them.
Yeah, I was also leaning towards a 1-0 for Milan just because, they just played a lot better in that first leg.
And they're getting guys back, too, in this game.
Yeah, that too. So they're only getting stronger. And, United has to come out and score. And they're kind of like Chelsea, in my opinion, when it comes to that attacking side. I don't necessarily trust, the ability to put away goals. So I'm also going to go with a 1-0 victory for Milan right here. And they're going to knock out United, which I'm completely okay with.
We could be completely wrong. It wouldn't shock me to see United go there and win like 2-0 because they have the players to do that. But I just think that the way they play suits AC Milan really well because they don't necessarily move the ball super quickly. They really just try to hit you on the counter. And that's kind of what teams do in Serie A. They don't really try to just completely take the game to you. And so I think that's why a team like AC Milan is doing really well against United. Whereas I think if they played a City, I think they would get absolutely smashed. I think this could come back to bite me in the ass because watch us play AC Milan in the future. But I think if they played an Arsenal, because we like to take the games to opponents, I think we could handle them pretty well as well. And then depending on how Mourinho wants to play on that certain game, Spurs could take it to Milan as well. But I just don't. United, I don't know. It's just the way that they play, and it's worked decent for them this season. They're in second right now. They're still in the Europa League as well. So, but I think their style of play plays in AC Milan's favor, and I think that's why Milan will probably come through, and that'd be huge because I would much rather play Milan in the Europa League as an Arsenal fan than play United. I would fancy us a lot more against them over two legs. All right, so we move on to the weekend. We get back into the country, back into England, but we will start with the FA Cup. There's 3 FA Cup games involving the Big Six. It's the quarterfinals of the Cup, playing for a spot in Wembley. We will start off with Man City versus Everton. Pretty good little matchup. But I mean, I don't really see Everton coming out on top on this game. I think it'll be a good game. I'm going to go for a 2-1 City win.
Everton has lost their last 2 games. City, we all know City. They're almost unstoppable. I'm going to go... part of me wants to say 3-1, but also 2-0. I'm gonna go 3-1 City.
3-1. All right. Well, I think have we agreed on every single pick so far? I think we have. Not the same scoreline, but the result. Well, no, we didn't agree on the same Chelsea Atletico Madrid result, but like the tie, we still kind of agreed on.
Yeah, either way, they're going through with our picks.
All right, let's move on to which is probably the worst matchup of the weekend in the FA Cup. You have 2nd versus 20th. But hey, remember last time this happened? Didn't Sheffield? Yeah, Sheffield United beat United earlier in the year, like a month or so ago. However, with that being said, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, it's us versus Sheffield.
I don't know. I can literally see the words Chelsea on my screen, and I said United.
I was like, we are in 2nd place.
Anyways, yeah, scratch what I just said. It's Chelsea versus Sheffield United, which honestly makes this pick even easier for me because I just don't think Sheffield United will be able to keep up with Chelsea's, their possession and their attacking prowess. I think Chelsea could be riding a bit of a high if they do get the job done in Europe, and I think they probably will translate that over into the FA Cup. Albeit Sheffield United have played well in the FA Cup this season because it pretty much is the only thing they're playing for at this point now. So they will give it a go. They're going to play their A team, but I don't see them coming out on top in this game. I think Chelsea is going to win this game 2-0.
Yep, that is also the scoreline that I was going to pick. The last time we played Sheffield, I think the only reason they even got a point on us was because Rudiger had an own goal. Yeah. And ever since that own goal, I swear Rudiger had a flip switch in his head, and he's been lights out. Even against Atletico in the Champions League, he shut down Suarez a couple times. I don't see us conceding to them as long as no bullshit happens in the back line. But yeah, I see us scoring on them multiple times, so I'm going to go 2-0 as well.
All right, then now we get to the team that Manchester United is actually playing. They are playing Leicester City. It's going to be at the King Power Stadium. I think this is a tough matchup for United. I think it could be a rough week for them as well. I think it's Jamie Vardy. Yeah, Vardy is back healthy. The problem is that you have Maddison out for Leicester.
That's a huge one.
James Justin towards ACL. He's out. They have a few other guys I think as well. So that's what makes it tough for me. But Leicester are coming off of a huge win. They beat I think it was Southampton over the weekend 5-0. Yeah. And so they are playing. They seem like they're playing better. I think they got to win the previous game too. And so they are playing better. They are at home as well. But Manchester United are kings under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They are kings of winning and getting to semifinals, but then choking in semifinals. And because of that, I am going to pick them to go through. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw, but it goes to penalties, and Manchester United win on penalties.
Oh, man.
Which we gotta like specify that. So yeah, we're picking the full time scores. If it goes to penalties, that doesn't count basically to like our picks. So like, if you think it's gonna go to penalties, then pick a draw. But like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, dude, this is a tough one. 'Cause I could see Leicester City breaking through a few times, but I could also see Man United just playing really defensive and then maybe hitting Leicester on a counter.
The thing is, I feel like they're both going to do that. So it's like something's got to give. I feel like they'll both like play and try and hit on the counter. That's kind of their attacking styles.
Dude, this is tough. I'm gonna pick Leicester City wins this outright 2-1.
All right. Could be a very bad week for United if the out of 2 competitions back to back in 1 week.
Yeah,
that would be tough.
Tough scene.
Then we move on to away from the FA Cup. We'll move on to the 2 games in the Premier League this week that involve the Big Six. It's 2 North London clubs. It's the King of North London, and then the little baby boy of North London. We'll start with the Kings. Arsenal travel to West Ham. A tough little matchup there. It's right before the international break, though, so you'd think that even coming off of a Europa League game, which, to be fair, we should be able to rest some players in the Europa League, so we could still have a pretty fresh and strong lineup against West Ham. I haven't been as impressed with West Ham the last couple of weeks. I thought against United yesterday they were really poor. They kind of were just parking the bus, and they are dangerous in the counter with Mikel Antonio up top. And you have Souček, who's a really good goal-scoring midfielder. And so I think maybe they are able to catch Arsenal on the counter once in that game, but I am going to give the Gunners the nod. I think they're going to keep their run of momentum going, and I think they're going to take some great momentum into the international break with a 2-1 victory over West Ham. Go ahead and say it. I already know what you're going to fucking choose. He's just table hunting. Just looks at the table. It's like, oh yeah, since they're ahead of the table, I'm going to pick him. This is not going to be one of those. Like I told you last week, do not pick Spurs to win. I honestly think I could see this going either way.
I will say West Ham has definitely looked a little iffy recently.
It's just one of those things like we've seen it with Leicester, especially last season, where they just fell off at the end of the year because their squad is just not that of a Big Six squad.
Yeah.
And so guys get tired, all those kinds of things. I think that same thing is happening to West Ham right now. I think they've played really well. They've exceeded beyond expectations. I think a lot of people had them actually not getting relegated, but like kind of in that range where they just barely stayed up. And I mean, hell, they're probably gonna. I don't think they're not gonna make the Champions League in my opinion, but there's a good chance they could get a Europa League spot. But I think they're really just tiring as of late.
Part of me wanted to pick a draw, but I'm not. I'm gonna say Arsenal wins 1-0.
Okay, I respect it. Jake has learned his lesson.
I wanted to go with a 1-1 draw. Because y'all, I swear, every game that I like actually kind of tune in and watch y'all play, there's always a mistake.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And that always just, it throws a wrench into your entire game.
That's the thing. I mean, every single game, teams don't actually score goals on us, like break us down. I mean, the one against Spurs, yeah, I mean, that was a fucking goal of his life that was scored. You got to put your hands up. But I mean, besides that, teams, they just score off of our mistakes, which is why it is kind of hard to trust us keeping a clean sheet. But
I'm going to go with y'all keeping one this game.
We do have a good defense. I mean, if you take mistakes away, I think since Christmas, since the turn of the year, Arsenal have conceded 14 goals or 15 goals now after the Spurs game across all competitions, and 8 of those 15 goals were directly from mistakes, which is fucking horrendous. Yeah. But 7 goals in that span would be really good defending. But I mean, obviously, not making mistakes is part of defending. So. Yep. But, all right, so 1-0 victory from you. And then we get to our final pick of the week. Spurs play Aston Villa. They travel to Aston Villa, and if this game was played, 4 or 5 weeks ago, I would say Aston Villa. But the problem here is Jack Grealish going to be able to play for Aston? He's been out recently, and they've been really poor in the league. Aston Villa, their run of form right now is 2 draws, 2 losses, and 1 win in their last 5 games, and it's because they're missing Grealish. I think for me, he's one of the best players in the Premier League. He's a really good player, and I mean, when you're a team like Aston Villa, you lose a player like that, it's going to obviously affect you. I'm not sure if he's going to play. But I know there was doubts of him playing against. There was a chance he was going to play this past weekend against Newcastle United. So because there was a chance he was going to play then, I think you give him an extra week. I think he will be back for this game, and I think because of that, I will give Villa a draw in this game. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. If Grealish wasn't back, I would have picked a loss, and if he's not back and they lose, I'm going to be kind of triggered. But I'm expecting him to be back and at least make like a 30-40 minute cameo off the bench, which I think could be the difference in them drawing and losing the game.
I'm going to go dude, I hate picking Tottenham.
Well, you can't tell with them. I mean, you see how they've played, the last 4 or 5 weeks before the Arsenal game, and they were playing really good, but then you look at it, they're playing West Brom, they were playing Fulham, they were playing, other teams. Like every single team they played was at the bottom half of the table. And it's like, okay, they should be playing like that. And then they play Arsenal, and they just play completely different. They were sitting back and defending instead of going and attacking with all. They've got brilliant attacking players, and yet Mourinho chooses to defend. I could see him attacking though again in this game against Villa, which makes me a little bit nervous about my pick because I think if they come out and attack Villa, Villa could be in trouble. But I don't know. It's just so hard to pick for Spurs because they're you never know what you're going to get from them.
Yeah. Villa's a somewhat quality side, but I'm. Oh God, it pains me to say this. I'm picking Tottenham to win 1-0. I don't think either team is going to light up the score sheet, but I think Tottenham comes out with the win.
Yeah, I think this for me is just dependent on whether or not Jack Grealish plays.
Yeah.
Hopefully he does, and hopefully he fucking scores a hat trick against
those
those
my pick.
bastards.
Hopefully he doesn't, but we'll see.
Nah, fuck that. I hope he comes out and scores a damn hat trick against them. All right, so that wraps up the Big Six talk for this week. Obviously, we already got into our Sling Speaks segment of the pod earlier before Sling had to boogie on out of here. But before me and Jake wrap up this pod, we got to give our winners and losers of the week. For me, it's pretty simple. My winner is Mikel Arteta. I was thinking about maybe Arsenal, but I think I'm going to go with him. He gets his first win against Spurs. First win after he lost the first. He lost the first 2, I believe, against Spurs. Yeah, he did. He lost the first 2 games against Spurs. But he gets a big win this time. So you got to give a shout out to him for that. But on top of that, he also got a big 3-1 win in the midweek against Olympiacos, and proved. The reason I'm giving it to him is because I think every Arsenal fan on this planet had no idea why Mohamed El-Neni was coming on in that game when it was 1-1. And then we were all proven wrong, gladly so. And that comes on to him. He had, that's showing balls, bringing on a guy like that when you need a goal. And what he did is we actually just regained control of the midfield and started dominating the game again. And then obviously he scored an absolute worldie. And then, on the weekend, good lineup selection. I wouldn't have personally picked Smith Rowe to play on the left side because I think his best position is a 10. But, I mean, he was freaking unreal. He is not a world-class player, Smith Rowe. There's not even close. He's only been in the first team for 3 or 4 months. But his first half performance against Spurs was a world-class performance. And I wouldn't even have picked him to start that game. That's why Mikel Arteta is a manager. And, for big decisions like that, he left out Aubameyang because of the whole fiasco where he had showed up late to the meeting. This wasn't the first time it happened, so he started Lacazette. Thought Lacazette played good, got his goal. So some big decisions from Arteta this week, and they all paid off. 2 big wins, 2 of his biggest wins as a manager. So he is my clear-cut winner for the week.
All right. I'm going to knock out both here because my winner and my loser is actually the same person.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. It's wild.
I don't know where this is going.
My winner and loser is Eric Lamela.
Oh, true.
And
True.
He is a winner because of that fucking
goal of the season.
Beautiful Rabona to nutmeg.
Eric Lamessi.
That was a pretty goal. And he's also my loser because, one, obviously they ended up losing that game, but two, he ended up going out with a red card, so he just kind of shit on the rest of it.
The thing is that he was complaining after he got the second yellow, and the thing that could have been like his fifth yellow card of the game. That kind of game kind of summed up him as a player.
Yeah,
he can every now and then he can just do something absolutely unreal, but for the most part he's just a piece of shit and does stupid shit. So
that's why you're a fucking loser.
Shout out to Eric Lamela. My loser for the week is related back to Eric Lamela, but it's just Spurs in general. Their fans were talking big shit before the game. Keep in mind, Spurs are not like in second place in the league. They're like, before that game, I want to say they were, 7th or 8th in the league. And yet they're talking elite shit before that game. And for what reason? I don't know why. I mean, you guys beat West Brom, you beat Brighton, you beat Fulham and Dimman there. Congrats, you beat teams you're supposed to beat. You played a team that is at your level, obviously is above your level, as we saw on Saturday. And Jose Mourinho, the dinosaur that is Jose Mourinho, came out. The Finnish manager that he is came out. He defended. We took the game to him. Yes, you got your – I'm not going to call it a lucky goal because it was an insanely good goal. But it was one of those once-in-a-lifetime goals that was scored that even kept the scoreline somewhat respectable. We should have scored 5 or 6. We absolutely dominated you guys. And, it's all those Spurs fans. They think that every single season they say, oh, there's a power shift coming in London. Yet you haven't won a single trophy since 2009, which was a League Cup trophy. That's literally a Mickey Mouse Cup. And, I mean, it's the only trophy you have a chance of winning this season, too, which is ironic. Albeit, I think City are going to beat y'all 4-0 in the final. But once again, North London is proven to be red. We're the way bigger club than you. We're better than you. And, yeah, I mean, you'll forever be in our shadow. That's all I have to say. You're the big loser this week. You're the loser for me every single week. Fuck Spurs.
Yep, I was about to say, as always, fuck Spurs.
All right. Well, it's about time we get out of here. Before we go, we gotta tell the audience what we learned this week.
Oh, fuck, dude. I always get snuck up by this one.
I learned something earlier. Already said it. Jake likes to try and get in fights at high school lacrosse games. He's beefing with other teams' parents.
Look, he was chatting shit, all right?
Word to Jamie Vardy, when you chat shit, you have to get banged.
You get fucking banged.
So, but yeah, Jake is well-known beef. So if you're at a lacrosse game and this man shows up, just look away. Don't get involved because he's looking for.
Don't even fucking think about me. All right, I know when you're thinking about me. Oh man, what did I learn this week? Give me a sec.
I learned 2 things. I got to say my second thing.
Go for it.
I learned that Greg Berhalter is an elite recruiter. Like Nick Saban, Kirby Smart. Nick Saban, Kirby Smart on the trail. Let's hope that he's more like Nick Saban in general, though, and not like Kirby Smart, whereas, he can't win any of the big games. But, so yeah, he's Nick Saban on the trail. Let's hope that also translates onto the pitch. That's something else that I fully confirmed this week.
You know what? See, since Sling isn't here to defend himself on the pod.
Oh, God.
What I have learned, well, it wasn't even this week. We've known this for a while. Is that here? Let me kind of back up a little bit.
Background.
Yeah. So everybody knows the game of FIFA. Everybody loves playing it for the most part. It's a solid game. It has its ups and downs, but for the most part, it's a good game. There's a game mode in it called Pro Clubs. Me, Logan, Sling, and a few of our other friends hop on that, and we'll play. We're not bad. We're a pretty solid pro club. But I've learned over the years that we have been playing pro clubs that me and Logan absolutely backpacked that pro club.
Like it's unreal.
I'm
trying to think of like a real life like soccer team that just gets backpacked by a duo that we can relate this to.
Maybe
honestly, like earlier in the season, Kane and Son for Spurs. That's pretty much what it was.
Or like Leicester a few years ago with Mahrez and Vardy.
Yeah, but I mean, you had Conte. You gotta show respect to that beautiful little Frenchman.
Never mind. I take that back then.
But yeah, I'm thinking like Kane and Son earlier in the year. Now Bale's kind of done something, although he didn't do shit against Arsenal. Gotta get that in one more time. But go play some more golf, Happy Gilmore ass motherfucker. But anyways, yeah, it's the if we have off games, we're literally fucked.
That's what I learned.
Yeah, shout out to anybody, Gutson, Davis, Sling, if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
We need some more help, please.
Yeah, please. Our backs are aching.
I have to pop like 10 ibuprofen every single night.
We're talking oxys over here.
All right, anyways, really good pod. A little bit of a lengthy pod this week. Had a lot of stuff to talk about. I had to get a lot of takes off, get some energy, get some things off my chest regarding the Arsenal and Spurs game, the North London Derby. And we had definitely our biggest segment, our U.S. men's national team rundown this week. Yeah. Albeit it was probably one of the more quieter weeks on the pitch. But hey, sometimes the stuff off the pitch is even more important. But a nice little long podcast this week. I hope you guys stayed with us the whole time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed what you heard. If you did, feel free to, if you're listening to this on any kind of podcast platform, give us a rating. Hopefully give us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed what you heard. If you're listening to this on YouTube, like the video, subscribe for some future content that we will be releasing. Probably more than likely it'll start at the beginning of next season. And then also, hey, if you want to keep up with us, know when all of our pods drop, follow us on social media. Like I said, just mentioned the YouTube. We're at Clueless Yanks on YouTube, but we're on Twitter and TikTok, Clueless Yanks on both of those platforms. We tweet about some of the Big Six games every now and then. If we get our followers up, we'll interact with you guys as well. Kind of see some of the takes that you guys have on any of the Big Six, or just football in general. Hell, even life in general. We could be life coaches. A little life coach segment on this.
Hell yeah, baby.
But anyways, appreciate everyone that tuned in. We will be back again next week, same day, same time. Evening releases in the U.S., early morning releases across Europe and the U.K. And
Speaking of Europe, real quick, before we head out, just want to give a quick shout out to our Frenchman that has stayed with us since day fucking one.
Day one listener from France. We don't know who you are. Galler guy.
But yeah, shout out to our Frenchman. You're a real one, my guy. Keep listening, dude.
Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, we appreciate everyone for tuning in. Shout out to our recurring viewers like you, Mr. Frenchman, or woman. Either way.
Sorry, I didn't mean to assume.
But shout out to all of our recurring viewers. Thanks for tuning in again this week. And anyone new, hopefully you guys enjoyed what you heard. And we will see all of you guys next week.
Peace out, y'all.
Take it easy, everyone.